Games, and crucially, their interactive dimension, provide us with the opportunity of looking at things as they are or even were, and then through reassembling the digital toolbox, offer a sense of how they might be. You could call these kind of games ethical and moral laboratories. This notion comes from a games critic called Bob Rehack, who's arguing that certain types of games allow people to test out and trial different ethical responses and even moral responsibilities, such as destroying the world, which people have been doing with SimCity for years and years now. Some games are about constructing and trialing physical systems. Others are about constructing and trialing moral systems. As I see it, the development of this type of content affords a richness of imaginative thinking and an opportunity to learn of a type that was lost many, many years ago when we stopped making things with our hands. A brilliant teacher, working with a class of very bright kids, might find a way to approach their individual subject in this way, but I think it would take a truly exceptional teacher, because until now, the materials required to achieve this type of immersive experience have simply not been generally available. There's an opportunity here to actively engage learners to finally escape from the passive world of chalk and talk, which remains, even in 2009, an all too familiar model of classroom practice throughout much of the world. It's my sincere belief that digital media could have an enormously valuable impact in addressing many of the challenges that lie ahead of us by more effectively spreading knowledge and understanding of the complexities of the physical world. I believe, for example, that intelligently developed digital media offer an amazing opportunity to help influence all manner of behavioral change. In other words, they could help steer us towards models of the kind of sustainable consumption that I referred to a little earlier. Uniquely, what we call games allow the possibility of creating differing scenarios to illustrate changes in climate and their likely variable impact upon ourselves and our planet. If genuine creativity is brought into play, the possibilities in terms of richness and breadth of content contained in just this one single example are almost boundless. As I've said, we in the developed world already live in an environment literally saturated with moving and interactive images. They're the dominant means by which we increasingly learn about and understand and even hopefully make sense of the world. In this new learning environment, mass participation in creating, sharing, and reusing these images has taken hold on a vast scale. Our task, surely, is to harness them in addressing the longer-term challenges that we as a global society face. With these long-term objectives in mind, allow me to finish with a brief anecdote about an early 20th century French marshal named Hubert Lotenoy, which seems to me to sum up just about everything I've been saying this morning. One morning, the elderly marshal said to his gardener, "Could you plant this tree for me?" And the gardener replied, "Are you sure? It's going to take at least 20 years before it's much more than a small sapling." The marshal thought for a moment and said, "Really? It's going to take 20 years? In that case, I think you'd better plant it this morning." That's a story that I think speaks to the value of education every bit as much as to our need to prepare for the many, many challenges that await us. It only remains for me to say that I hope I've set out a sufficiently interesting agenda and one that will help stimulate the very best of your deliberations for the rest of the day. Thank you very much for listening to me.